Hello, so there's two reasons how this video was inspired, okay? First of all, I spend a lot of time scrolling on the internet, okay? I spend too much time on social media, and then sometimes news will come up on my feed about some mega church or some famous pastor somewhere, usually in the Western world, where something happened, corruption happened, and then sometimes news will come up, videos will come up on my feed about Christians talking bad about other Christians or Christians talking bad about the church. The second reason how this video came to be is that a few months ago, my cell group leader, Paul, who is from India, was telling us about how Christianity came to India, and he was telling it this whole story in great detail. He knows the history, and that made me realize I don't actually know how Christianity came to my country. So these two instances made me realize over time that we love to kind of talk bad and point out issues in the church nowadays, but we forget how much good the church has done in the past, and is still doing even, but especially in the past, in history. But we don't look into that, and we just like to point out the issues and problems with the church, which is valid, but also there's a lot of good that church has done. I feel like there's this thing in the world now, like even Christians themselves like to self-blame and be like, oh yeah, church is the reason, Christianity is the reason why all of these problems exist. No, there's a lot of good that these people did. And so that made me look into how Christianity came to my state specifically, okay? Because this whole time I didn't really know. I just knew James Brooks, something, James Brooks, something. So here it is! Okay, I need my I can't see. So hi, my name is Meow. I'm actually from Malaysia. And specifically in this video, I'm going to be talking about Sarawak, which is the state that I'm from. So Malaysia is divided into two parts, which is West Malaysia and East Malaysia. And Sarawak is the biggest state and is located in East Malaysia, and is on the island of Borneo, which is also shared with the second biggest state, Sabah, and also we share it with Kalimantan, Indonesia. And so it's on this small little island. It's not that small, it's actually, Borneo is the third biggest island in the world. So I live on an island. It doesn't feel like an island, it's a very big island, so yeah. So the native people of Sarawak, which are not Malays, are called Dayaks. And that's what I'm part of. I'm a Bidayuh, which is one of the tribe of Dayak. And by the way, I don't really know if all the natives of Sarawak are called Dayaks, because according to this book that I read, it says only these certain tribes are Dayak and then these tribes are not. So I'm not sure. If you are Dayak, you can comment down below which tribe you are, and are all native tribes in Sarawak Dayak? I always thought that was just a blanket term for everyone. But this is some of the costumes, the colours. There's a lot of tribes actually. I haven't met all of them also because Sarawak is a very big state. There's a lot of tribes. So I'm so sorry if I don't include every single tribe. But you can see that our colours is very vibrant. There's a lot of red, gold, black. This is a Dayak motif, so by the way. So how was the state of Sarawak before Christianity? So this was before Sarawak joined Malaysia, by the way, before Malaysia was formed. There was always constant warfare between the different tribes. They were always fighting each other. And the Dayaks lived together in long houses, and they live in large numbers. And the long houses had stockades around them to protect them against sudden attack, because it was so common. And these long houses, they still exist now, but for Bidayuh we don't really have it, I think. But I think for Iban it's still common. They still exist. And so what they did is they will attack the neighboring tribe to bring home a head. So this is where we get the thing of head hunting. If you guys have ever heard of the head hunters of Borneo, this is where it's from. Because head hunting was a tradition that was very big among Dayak people. They will not just kill the other tribes, they will bring back the head. And this is a whole other topic in itself. It has a whole other details inside, but basically one of the reasons is that they will bring back a head to gain favor in the eyes of the Dayak girls, because it shows that you are a strong warrior. And those who are not killed, they will be taken captives to become slaves. And in these sudden attacks, they will escape to the jungle. And for those who tak sempat, who haven't escaped to the jungle yet, the men who are armed with their sword and their spear will protect the women and children. They will form a circle around them, and they will strike these brass gongs called tawak to alert their neighbors that there's an attack and they need help. These are one of those things that I take for granted, you know, like I never really looked into the history of it, because when I was small, whenever I go back to my kampong, my village, like some of these houses, they still have the gong hung up. And also I think this warrior culture is also where we get the shield from. If you come here if you come here to Sarawak, you can see it's very common to have this shield motif around. Downstairs in my family kitchen also I'll try to remember the picture, but yeah, we also have that. Sometimes they will even attack at work, on their farms, or in a solitary farm hut, and they will just be surrounded at night. So in conclusion, these Dayaks live in a constant state of fear. I think one thing that struck me so much about our history is that killing was normal. Like, we were basically savages, we were wild tribes. And in addition to headhunting, piracy was also another thing. So the Sea Dayaks used to join the Malays in perahu, which is basically a narrow, skinny Malay boat. It's called perahu. And they will go together to attack the trading boats that will pass by. They destroyed the vessels that came near their shores, and then they will kill or take the crew as slaves. And the Dayaks of Saribas, Krang and Balaus also join, of course, to bring back the heads to decorate their house. Because yes, the heads were used to decorate the house. And so that was the state of Sarawak before Christianity. So let's go into how Christianity actually came here. It started with someone named James Brooke. If you're Sarawakian, you are so familiar with this guy. He is legendary to us. He was born on April 29, 1803. His father was a member of the civil service of the East India Company and spent many years in India. And so James Brooke followed his father's footsteps, entered the company and was sent out to India in 1825. He got wounded in the Burmese War, and after 4 years, his health prevented him from rejoining the regiment, and he went through shipwreck and other misfortunes, and he quit the service in 1830. So he went to China and he was horrified with the savagery of the tribes, and he had the idea of rescuing them from this barbarism. I can't say that word. Basically, he wants to rescue them now from the savagery, okay? And he wants to get rid of piracy in the Eastern Archipelago. And when his father died, he inherited the sum of £30,000 and he bought and equipped a yacht called the Royalist. There's a lot of things, other things that, you know, is in his journey, but I just summarized it there. And how did he arrive in Borneo? Is actually in 1839, he arrived in Singapore, which, if you guys didn't know, is very, very close to Malaysia. And in Singapore, he met a shipwrecked crew that had recently came from Borneo. And they told him that they had been kindly treated by Muda Hasim, who was a native Raja in Borneo, and they asked James Brooke to take presents and letters of thanks to him. So James Brooke anchored off Kuching in August 15, 1839. And so at this time, Sarawak was still its own country and it was ruled by the Sultan of Brunei. But his uncle, Raja Muda Hasim, was the greatest power in the island. And he was very favourable to English strangers. So it wasn't that hard for James Brooke. After he paid the customary homage, he was received and he was allowed to visit the Dayaks of Lundu. So at this time, when James Brooke arrived, there was a rebellion going on. Because some of the tribes had revolted against the Sultan, but he could not stop the rebellion because of course it's very Dayak, okay, we have to fight back. So the Sultan and his Malay forces could not calm down the situation, and he recognized James Brooke as a born leader of men, so he asked him for his help. He even offered to transfer the government of the province to James Brooke if he could remain and take command. And guess what? James Brooke actually did it. With his crew of his yacht and also some Malay followers, he actually stopped the rebellion. He made many reforms and a system of administration far superior than any of the native authorities could dream of. And so on 24th September 1841, the government of Sarawak and its dependencies was formally made over to him, and he was given the title Rajah of Sarawak. But the official declaration was not made until 18 August 1842. I'm so stiff. Okay, so I think one thing that struck me so much is how strategic James Brooke actually was in his administration. So he saw how uncivilized we were, okay, and he thought the development of commerce would be the most effective means of civilizing the natives. But to make this commerce possible, it was necessary to get rid of the piracy, which is not only a curse to the savage tribes appealing to their worst instincts, but a danger to both European and native traders in the area. Okay, sorry, the camera moved, my memory card habis just now. So he found an ally in Captain Henry Keppel, who afterwards became Admiral Henry Keppel. I can't say. Henry Keppel. Yeah, there we go. And through various expeditions, they succeeded in getting rid of the piracy. The way they did it is they will attack the pirates in their strongholds, and the pirates found their entrances to rivers blocked up by English gunboats and their retreat was cut off. And he also got rid of headhunting because he declared it to be a crime punishable with death. He found it so serious, such a serious problem, because obviously murder. And he ended this natural custom. I mean, there were still people that it would still pop up every once in a while after that, but you know, it was no longer legal and he dealt with it. So how did the missionaries arrive? Because it wasn't James Brooke alone who will just bring Christianity. After James Brooke got rid of piracy, it was the first step towards introducing the country to the blessings of a settled government with all of its civilizing influences. But he was not satisfied, okay? He wanted to establish a Christian mission in Sarawak. So to do that, he visited England in 1847 to appeal to the church. But neither of the two big missionary societies at the time had the funding to help him. So a new organization called the Borneo Church Mission was founded. And the first ever missionary who was sent out was Reverend Francis Thomas McDougall. And he was also a doctor. And he was consecrated the Bishop of Labuan and Sarawak in 1855. So this, people, is the very first Anglican bishop in Sarawak, because yes, this is an Anglican church. And in 1854, the Society for the Propagation of the Gospel in Foreign Parts was able to take up the work and basically continue it. So yeah, if you didn't know, Anglicans were the very first missionaries in Sarawak, the first Christianity to come. So what did these missionaries do? One significant thing is formal education. On 28 June 1848, Reverend F.T. McDougall and his wife Harriet and his colleague Reverend William Bodman Wright and his wife, they sailed along the Sarawak River and landed in Kuching. And then they started their missionaries and they spread Christian teachings to the 2nd Division and then the 4th Division in 1920. So by the way, Sarawak is divided, I don't know at this time it was how many divisions, but I think right now it's divided into 12 divisions. It's a big place, okay, it's a big place. And 28 districts. And then in 1858, Reverend Chalmers arrived in Kuap and opened a school called St. James. And his mission was continued by Reverend Chung Ahluk, who was actually baptized by Reverend F.T. Thomas. And as a result, the school obtained an allocation of 1,740 pounds. So later on, during Charles Brooke's rule, who was the nephew of James Brooke, there was a much clearer education policy. There were more government schools for Malay and Chinese children, and then another Christian missionary group called the Seventh-day Adventists, SDA, I'm sure you heard of it. They were given a sum of 2,400 pounds during Viner Brooke's rule. Viner Brooke is the son of Charles Brooke. So this just continued right over the years. So they got this money to open a missionary school. And so the first SDA school opened on Gartek Street. I think my Dayak side just left and my Punjabi side come out or what? Gatak Street, I guess. And it was called San Kwang School. And if you have never heard of that, it's okay, because in 1925, it was changed to Sunny Hill School. Now that sounds familiar. My family used to drive by the Sunny Hill School all the time, but to be so for real, I've never gone in. But I have gone to Sunny Hill for a different reason, and if you're Kuchingite, you know that Sunny Hill is famous for its ice cream. I'm not sure if the shop is connected to the school or is it just on the street. Sunny Hill is famous for their ice cream. It's a very old ice cream shop in Sarawak and it's so good. I haven't gone there in so many years, but yes. I just think it's so cool that this thing still continued, like from one generation, from James Brooke to the nephew to the son. They just never stopped. And I'm just amazed at how they give their life to helping these native people when they could have been doing something else, you know? And so another example of an SDA missionary school was Air Manis, and it provided lots of opportunity to the Bedaya community in Serian district to learn agricultural skills, training, and getting available secular education. Some other examples of schools, some of which you would have heard of if you are Kuchingite. In Kampong Pancho, there was an Anglican All Saints school that was formed in 1957. There was a primary school at Kampong Ritoh Mawang in 1961. And then St. Mary's, the oldest girls' school in Sarawak. St. Thomas, which is the oldest school in Sarawak. And it's actually the 4th oldest in Malaysia. Actually, my notebook is... look at that! It's St. Thomas! This is very Kuchingite of me. I can't believe I'm using this right now. Yeah, this is actually the St. Thomas school book. I did not study here, by the way. But my auntie used to teach there, so that's why I had a book. So St. Mary's and St. Thomas are Anglican. St. Joseph was the first Catholic mission school in Sarawak. And then there's St. Teresa, which is the girls' Catholic school. I just think that it's quite unfortunate that I kind of grew up around all these places, but I never considered the history behind them, you know, because these are just places in my town. Like, I've been by them so many times. I did not go to any of these schools, but my class graduation pictures last time, Form 5, we took it at St. Thomas, I think. Yeah, I think that's another reason why I think it's good to look into history, because it's kind of sad if we just drive by these places and we don't appreciate. Like, I didn't know that St. Thomas is the oldest school in Sarawak. Or maybe maybe that's a common fact, but I don't know. And not only that, but the British and the missionaries actually reopened schools that were interrupted in their development due to the war. And by the end of 1946, there was a total of 73 government schools, 30 missionary schools, 3 private schools, and 173 Chinese schools for the people in Sarawak. That is insane. So the reason why they were so big on education, and James Brooke was also very big on this, is because the British colonialists, including James Brooke, wanted the Sarawakian native people to be educated so that they will be able to administer their own country one day. They actually successfully increased the literacy rates among the people of Sarawak. See, this is what I'm talking about. People in history, man. I have so much respect for these people who lived among native people, you know, these savage people, and tried to civilize them, not knowing how long it will take, right? I mean, obviously it took so many years, but they didn't give up on us. Like, we would not be the way we were today if it's not for these people who never gave up. This is what I'm telling you. This is what I'm telling you, these people. And so some other facts was Sarawak was ruled by the white Rajas, which were the white rulers. Raja means king, by the way. So that's why they're called the white Rajas, because they are white men being king. We were ruled by them for almost a century before the formation of the Federation of Malaysia. And before Malaysia was formed, there were 4 major Christian denominations that established themselves in Sarawak. The first is Anglican, obviously, they were the first one. The second one is Catholic. In 1881, the Catholic Mill Hill Mission was established in Kuching, preaching the gospel mainly to the people of Kanawit and Cebu along the Rejang River. The third one is Methodist. Between 1901 and 1902, about 1,000 Fuchao immigrants under the leadership of Wong Nai Seong arrived in Cebu. And that makes a lot of sense. Like, I've always wondered why most of the Methodists that I know are Chinese. Like, if you go to a Methodist church, it's usually Chinese people. It actually started from Fuchao immigrants. I did not know that. And then the fourth one is Borneo Evangelical Church. And I was like, I have never heard of this church, man. But it's actually, if you translate it in Malay, it's Sidang Injil Borneo, SIB. And I was like, oh, okay. I've just never heard the English name. I know the SIB church. And this one was started by 3 Australian missionaries in 1928 in the interior of northern Sarawak. So there you have it. That was the 4 first Christian denominations that came to Sarawak. And then after Malaysia was formed, then the rest came. And that's it. That's all the information that I have for you in this video. It was very brief. It was very short. I did not go into detail too much. And if you go into detail into all these things, like even into the Catholic mission, like I read something about how the nuns had to go through so much, and just all of these stories inside these stories, I highly recommend. Like, I myself, I'm still gonna read up about it. And so my conclusion on this video is that everything I said is just a summary. There's a lot more details, a lot more that you can read about, and I will put the link down below for some of the sources where I read this. I also have some books that I read as well. I didn't bring it. I wanted to show you, but never mind. But I hope that even though this is a short video, I hope it sheds some light on the rich history that we have as Christians and even as Dayak Christians, and how much they did for the community. Because going back to what I said in the intro about issues online, talking about the church, I'm not saying that we should not address issues in the church. There are things that happen, but I'm just saying that we as humans, we have the tendency to just gossip and talk trash, because that is our tendency, right? We like bad news. Like, we just like bad news on our screen, you know. It's like, oh, something new to talk about. But I think something that I've noticed is that we tend to get too comfortable talking bad about our church, about the Bride of Christ, which is not right. And we tend to let the actions of bad Christians or unbiblical churches get in the way of how good Christians have done in the past. I am so grateful for the fact that James Brooke came and all these missionaries, and they built all these schools. Again, they didn't have to do that. They don't know these people, they don't know these savages, but they had that in their hearts to do that for us. And without them, we would not be where we are today. We might still be the savage tribes that are killing each other, but thanks to them, Christianity is the majority in Sarawak. We are actually the only state in Malaysia that is majority Christian, and we have Christian values because of those people. So I just hope this video encourages you to just look past the gossip for a bit and look into the good Christians of the past. And it's not even that hard. You can just look online and read, and this is not anything fancy. I just took my notes in my Sentong book. And also, I'm sorry if there are some things in this video that have no picture because I don't know, like, okay, I feel like I'm so formal. Okay, chill. Okay, drink coffee at what, 6 p.m. Wow. I feel like I've been so stiff in this video because I don't want to mess things up, right? This is a historical thing, and also I'm like reading facts. I feel like I'm giving a presentation, so I'm sorry if I'm so stiff in this video. I've never made this kind of video before, but I'm sorry if there was anything that didn't have pictures. I tried my best to get a lot of pictures to show you, But sometimes, you know, when I Google someone's name, like some of them, some other person will come out. Like, I don't know which one is the real one. Like, cannot be this guy. You know? Yeah. There are some things I couldn't find a picture because I can't verify if that is actually the person or actually the place. So I'm so sorry if it was boring, but I tried my best. Thank you to my cell group leader Paul for inspiring this also, since he knows so much about how Christianity came to his country, to the point that it inspired me by realizing that I don't know anything. So I'm so glad that I know something now and I can tell people. So with that, I would like to close this video by asking you, how did Christianity come to your country if you are watching? And also, if you're Sarawakian watching, give me some kind of fact. Like, what other fact do you know about this that I don't know about? Oh yeah, if you want to follow me on Spotify, because I make music also, you follow my band Euphoniousician, you can follow my you can follow my solo project Deathstiny, and you can follow another one that I do for short films. It's called Farrah Anne Dhaliwal. Okay, dah. Bye.